Well, this is it, folks. If you entered into our giveaway for an $800 gaming PC, the winner is going to get these parts inside of their system. If you haven't entered and you are watching this video before November 1st, you can still enter by visiting the giveaway link in the description below. And even if it is after November 1st, definitely still check out the link because we usually have some kind of giveaway going on. Or if you are just here to see what an $800 gaming computer looks like, you can follow along with the build, and there is a link to the full part list in the description below. But before I get into building this computer, I first wanted to give you some insight on why I chose each one of these components. Now for starters, I just want to lay some of the goals I had with this build to give you a better idea of what I had in mind when I was choosing components. Now, I'm typically not someone who cares too much what the inside of my system looks like, and by that I mean that I usually don't try and color coordinate my own personal builds. But since ultimately I'm building this system for someone else, I wanted to go ahead and spend a little bit more time choosing the components so that I could find parts that fit together and look nice together. And since there's no way I could possibly know what the winner's preferred color scheme was, I just stuck to a kind of darker color scheme. I also wanted to closely follow the $800 build we list in our affordable PC builds guide on EliteGamingComputers.com. And for the most part, every part in this build is virtually the same as it is in the $800 build on our guide, at least at the time of recording this. Now, the only part that is different is the case, and the reason why I chose a different case than the case we list in our guides, I'll discuss that in a second. If you do want to check out our affordable PC builds guide because you're looking to build a computer at a different price point, I've also added a link to that in the description below. All right, with that being said, let's get into a little bit more on why I chose each one of these parts. First off, we went with AMD's Ryzen 5 1600 6-core 12-thread processor. Now you might be wondering, Brent, are you crazy, man? Don't you know Coffee Lake just dropped? Well, yes, there was the consideration to go with the Intel Core i5-8400. However, the 8400s ran out of stock so fast that when it came time to order one, there were none left on Amazon and Newegg. And this was just merely days after I did purchase an 8400 and I sent it to the winner of our Fanboy Friday contest. So these things did go pretty dang fast. But even if the 8400 was available, I was still sort of leaning towards the Ryzen 5 1600, and the reason for that is twofold. First, the 8400 can't be overclocked, and second, the only motherboard you can get for an 8400 right now is a Z370 chipset board, and the cheapest of those that I could find was about $120. For the Ryzen 5 1600, you compare it with a $65 motherboard and still get mild overclocks. And you don't even need to upgrade the stock cooler, as the 1600 comes with AMD's Wraith Spire cooler, which is decent enough to let you push the chip further. Now, I'm not actually going to overclock this system because this build is going to someone else and I don't want to void any warranties. But if the winner does end up wanting to push their system a little further, they at least have the option to do so with this CPU choice. For the motherboard, I went with MSI's budget-friendly B350M Pro VDH, where the M indicates that it is a micro ATX motherboard. Now, this board isn't special by any means, but it is one of the more affordable AM4 boards currently out there, and for what we're doing with this build, it should be more than enough to get the job done. It also sticks to the darker color theme and should fit in well with the other components from an aesthetics standpoint. For the graphics card in this build, I chose EVGA's GTX 1060 Gaming 6GB card. It's the ACX 2.0 cooler design, but this is their smaller single-fan card. The main reason why I chose it was because it was the cheapest GTX 1060 6GB graphics card on Amazon at the time of purchase. It's probably not going to stack up quite as well as some of the beefier GTX 1060s out there, but the difference probably won't be significant in the grand scheme of things, and the lower price helped us stay within budget. The combination of the GTX 1060 and the Ryzen 5 1600 also make this build VR gaming friendly, as these both meet the recommended specs for both the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. I also went with 8GB of Crucial's Ballistic Sport 2400MHz RAM. This RAM actually isn't currently in the $800 build on our affordable PC builds guide, as at the time of recording this video, it is about $15 more expensive now than it was when I purchased it. Also, as you may already know, Ryzen tends to perform a little better with faster memory, but most tests show that after 2400 to 2666 MHz, there are diminishing returns. So the 2400 MHz kit was a nice balance between price and performance, at least at the time of purchase. Our storage choice may be a bit controversial of a pick as we went with ADATA's 256GB NVMe SSD. We could have dropped this for a traditional 1TB hard drive and then dropped the processor down to a Ryzen 5 1400 and then potentially had enough left over to grab a GTX 1070. Or we could have saved about 10 to 15 bucks and gone with a standard SATA SSD and perhaps upgraded to a better power supply or one of the more beefier GTX 1060s. But in the end, we decided first to go with a decent size SSD now to install Windows onto, so that all the winner has to do later is to add a large mechanical hard drive and then they'll be set for storage purposes. And of the SSD options, we decided to go with the newer NVMe model because if the winner is doing any kind of productivity work, they will get a performance boost there. And also, with only an NVMe SSD installed and no optical drive in this build, I won't have to run any SATA cables whatsoever. For our power supply, we went with the Corsair CX550M. Now this isn't the best power supply in the market by any means, but it does come in at a really good price. It's semi-modular and it offers more than enough power to run the system. From an aesthetic standpoint, this power supply will be hidden behind a PSU shroud on the case we chose, and so its design mostly won't come into play. Finally, for our case, we chose the Intermax Ostrog Lite mid-tower computer case. This was the only deviation, other than our memory, from the $800 system that we list in our affordable PC builds guide on EliteGamingComputers.com, where we currently use the Cooler Master Masterbox Lite 3.1. Since I really wanted to make this build look nice though, I wanted to see if I could find a case with a PSU shroud for under 50 bucks. And that is exactly what the Intermax Ostrog Lite offers. In fact, it's the only case under 50 bucks that I could find that has a PSU shroud. And at this price, it kind of flies under the radar. No, it's not going to be an incredibly well-built case, and I suspect there will be some things I don't like about it. However, at just under 50 bucks, this case allowed me to stay under budget, gave me the PSU shroud I was looking for, stayed with the color scheme I was going with, and provided plenty of space for the build itself. So now that you have an idea of why we chose each component, it's now time to get this computer built. Now once this computer is up and running, we're going to benchmark it in a bunch of games so that you can get an idea of what kind of performance this computer will offer, and then you'll be able to see the results of those benchmarks in this video in just a moment. But with that being said, let's get this thing up and running so that we can go ahead and test it out. Alright, the build is up and running, the temperatures look good, and the system benchmarked well in the 3 games we ran on it at 1080p. Now the one thing that I kind of messed up on, and you may have already noticed it, was the PCB color of the motherboard. Originally, when I purchased the MSI B350M Pro VDH board, from the images on the listing on Amazon, I thought the PCB was primarily black, as I was going for that really dark kind of blackout look. But the PCB is actually brown, and now when I go back to the listing on Amazon, I can see that I definitely missed that. However, while I would have preferred a black PCB, in my opinion, the brown does kind of give it a cool look. And in fact, it almost evokes the feel of a nice cup of coffee, or maybe even a little more than just a cup of coffee. That's why we're calling this build our $800 AMD Mocha Lake gaming PC. Take that, Intel. That'll teach you for releasing a limited supply of your latest chips. Just kidding. The truth is that if there would have been the i5-8400 in stock and an affordable H300 series motherboard finally available, I may have went that route instead. But the Ryzen 5 1600 is an incredible processor for the price. It's going to allow the winner of the system to overclock it, and the stock cooler performs well, and it doesn't have those ugly multicolored wires coming off of it like Intel stock coolers always do. Which of course wouldn't be a problem if we didn't care what the inside of this build looked like. But since we are trying to make it look nice for whoever wins it, I think AMD stock cooler does help in that regard. And that of course comes back to the fact that we were trying to make this build look clean, as I said before, and that is to do so without having to go out and buy special sleeves or cabling kits or any of those extra items that can enhance the look of your cabling. Because I think a lot of people go out and want to build a budget system, and they think that they need all these special wiring and those cabling kits just to make the inside of the build look nice. But I think this proves that you don't have to. It's not going to look like a professional build, but you can make it look nice. Now, the only extra items that I did add were 2 black 120mm Rosewell case fans, as one of the stock case fans that came with the Intermax All-Star light was a clear fan with red translucent fan blades and red LED lights, and well, it didn't look bad, it just didn't mesh well with the color scheme on this build. So all in all, I'm happy with the way our AMD Mocha Lake build turned out, and if you are too, and you are in need of a gaming PC, you still have about a week to enter into this setup. There's a link to the giveaway contest in the description below, so if you haven't entered yet, you can use that link to do so. Or if you came here because you are looking for ideas on part lists, because you want to build an $800 gaming computer, I've also linked to our full part list for this build in the description below, and you can use that as is or as a template to customize to your own liking. And as always, you can check out our affordable PC builds guide on EliteGamingComputers.com for more part lists at various budget ranges. Alright, thanks for watching this video. It did run a bit long, but if you stuck around until the end, I really appreciate it. And please consider subscribing, as we do plan on building and giving away more systems like this one in the future. Good luck to everyone who entered into the contest, and I hope to see you next time.